Nigerians, contrary to a lot of opinion, we're a very, very hardworking set of people. I just believe with more motivation on the part of various employers of labor, businessmen, government, with more incentive and creating a conducive environment, people will become better and thereby making Nigeria great again, we call it now.
Okay, so I'll just say that Nigerian workers are very hardworking and they do everything they can to make the best of what they can, in the present circumstance. The glory of the days of Workers' Day used to be exciting and interesting. You look forward to that holiday, but even now, it's just like any other day, and just make by. As the day goes by. As long as you survive, you get home, your family is good, you're able to provide. That's all that matters now, and we just hope that someday those glory of Workers' Day will come back. We're hopeful.
Nigerian workers, essentially, I don't like to talk about Nigerian workers in isolation, especially considering the fact that the level of migration of workers from Nigeria abroad. So it is very, very important when you want to talk about Nigerian workers, you talk about it from the global perspective. First, you look at the remuneration of Nigerian workers, especially in the public service. I think minimum wage is about 30,000 naira in a month, and that is about, if you have to use 740 naira as exchange rate, that's about $40 in a month. So you can now begin to wonder how $40 in a month for Nigerian workers can be sufficient to cater for a Nigerian worker, especially a man that has family and children to cater for. And if you look at it side by side with what their counterpart earns in abroad, and you also understand the fact that, Nigerian workers are poorly remunerated, and that actually is one of the reasons why we see a lot of corruption that's actually happening, especially in the public sector.
Nigerian workers are patriotic, they are hardworking, they are productive, they are resilient. Even with all the chaos, we still go to work every time. So Nigerian workers are diligent workers, and I love Nigeria, and I love Nigerian workers. They are very patriotic, like I said before, proudly Nigerian, proudly African.
To be honest, we have people that are not, they're just working because they just want to get paid, because they just need something to survive. There's no passion, they're not working as if their life depends on it. They just want to get something out of it, and that's it. They don't put in their best.
What I know is Nigerian workers are very, very, very hardworking. The passion is always there, even with what they're being given, with the reward that is being given back. At times, you will not expect the dedication that you get from a lot of them, but I think that Nigerian workers generally, averagely, were dedicated.
I remember several years ago, 1972, when I worked with Lagos State Sports of Social Development. At that particular time, the civil servants in Nigeria today are very, very diligent. You take your work seriously, and you want to give quality time to what you are called to do.
I believe one of the things that the government needs to do is to create an avenue where Nigerian workers can have access to insurance, can have access to things that mean he doesn't have to steal. It has to be some incentive that he has access to. Maybe he wants to get married, he wants to buy a car. So if the environment is okay to afford, I don't think the Nigerian workers should be okay.
To make whatever it is that our hands find, to make the best out of what it is our hands find to do. That's my belief. I see great workers, I see people that put in their best interests into it, and I think if we encourage ourselves, Nigeria will be a better place.
The kind of wage that will enable them to meet their basic needs and still be able to function effectively. Right now in Nigeria, you don't even have anything that you can call living wage. Even the so-called 40,000 you are talking about, by the time a worker will remove transportation and whatever, he's left with nothing. A dissatisfied worker will never give you their best. They will be distracted.
Hard work should be rewarded more. People are doing excellently well in whatever organization where they belong to, even in government, should be motivated and rewarded. Promotion should not be based on who do I know in any organization. It should be about what you can do and what you can put on the table.
Well, minimum wage is what the limit the government, whether a government or a corporation or an employer would pay to a worker. And these days, I understand they increased minimum wage lately. I don't know, but the minimum wage paid in Nigeria, as far as I know, I work in HR, so I kind of have a little idea of what the minimum wage is. Unfortunately, especially those who are self-employed and who hire workers, don't really know what minimum wage is. They just pay as they feel or pay as they can afford, But if the government would really drive minimum wage even to the lowest entrepreneur who has at least 2 workers, no matter how many workers you have, at least I think every worker deserves to be paid something enough to take home.
Minimum wage, like I did say, is just about just minimum to actually take care of Nigerian workers, especially in public sector. Like I said, it's about $40 in a month, and that is so bad that at this time and age, at this time that the country actually require a lot of competent workforce. And also considering the fact that the global market, the workforce, the working environment, the global market is so attractive to, how do I put it now, to, global forces, employer coming to Nigeria to actually do a lot of employment. So the minimum wage is one major area that the government really needs to look at, especially considering the cost of inflation and cost of goods and services in Nigerian market. So I don't even understand how the government would peg minimum wage at $30,000, considering the fact that a lot of things are so exorbitant. So honestly speaking, in the public sector, I can't just imagine how they cope, the public sector, but really it's one area, one policy that government should look into.
Minimum wage, my understanding is the minimum wage is 18,000 naira. Yeah, that's what minimum wage is supposed to be, 18,000 naira. So that is minimum wage, is the wage the lowest wage that is given to every worker that is just starting up or something. That's what
minimum wage, that's the least amount of money that any worker should get. It's not really fair when some people make so much and some people do not even make so much. And this minimum wage we're talking about, how much is it when it is even converted to what people use it for at home? Some people you have to pay rent, you have to pay school fees and everything, and I learned now it's 30,000 and they're planning to increase it to 45,000. It's still something if it can go around.
Minimum wage is having a particular amount of money pegged and all that for workers. For me, the money is ridiculous. Is really, really something that does not encourage. So that's why, you see people work, they don't put in their best, there's no passion because, how much is the money? Oh, don't kill me. You hear people saying all sorts. So for me, I feel that amount needs to be reviewed.
For example, somebody who runs a, what's it called, pure water business, there's no electricity. Price of diesel is high. How can they thrive in their businesses? And if the government would just take time and just focus on what matters, which is electricity, good roads, the major things. That's why people leave the country. People will tell you, I'd rather stay there because I know there's water, there's light, even if I have to pay so much for it. So why can't we just focus on these utilities that people really need to survive and to thrive. So I just hope that this new government will look into, if not anything, electricity, because it drives almost everything, especially for businesses.
An average Nigerian worker is a productive worker, but all this infrastructure, all these factors that is surrounding productivity are actually what is actually impeding the level of productivity of Nigerian workers. And that's why you see that an average Nigerian worker seems not to be so productive. And that is a wrong notion. If you have to consider it holistically, then you begin to wonder that, okay, Nigerian workers can actually do much more than they are actually giving when given the right environment.
By increasing our salaries, very, very important. And by taking care of us, sometimes we feel neglected, especially mental neglection. All they want us to do is work, no rest. Man, even public holidays, they are going to work. They should be understanding, they should be empathetic towards us so that we can be better productive in our places of work and give them better results.
First, welfare, staff welfare. And then also what they take home at the end of the day, their salary. You see people put in their best. Some people work not because of the money, because they have other things attached to it. So for me, I think the salary should be reviewed, and then the staff welfare, very, very important.
Everything cannot be left to government. So for some of us that are entrepreneurs and employers, there are some things that we have to look at as well. The welfare of people, whatever we can use to help and to make sure everybody is comfortable.
For instance, you have situation people employ about 10, 15 people. Whereas if it is only just 5 people you can pay, and you give them a living wage, they will give you the productivity that is more than 20 people.